The Citroen C4 Picasso. Now, it has proved very popular with people with mid to large families, and it's not hard to see why, because for starters, it's very classy looking for an MPV, even in this bigger 7-seater Grand Picasso version. Obviously, the extra row of chairs does eat into the boot, but there's still room, as you can see, for a couple of soft bags. Now, the seats themselves are only really suitable for children because space is a bit limited, but you can keep your eye on them with this handy surveillance mirror. But if you want to carry loads instead of kids, no problem. You can pull the seats down, the flick of that lever there, and then fold this over for a flat load bay. Now, for the middle row. There's plenty of space in here for adults. I've got decent knee room and headroom, and these chairs themselves operate exactly the same as in the 5-seater version. You can slide them forwards and backwards. You can also recline them, and of course you can fold them down if you're wanting to carry large items. You see, it's all very easy to do. Now, you might be thinking this big dip is rather impractical, but fret not, because you can fold the backs down from the seat to create a completely flat load area, turning your people carrier into a van. But it certainly doesn't feel like a van up front. For starters, it's far too upmarket, and there's loads of adjustment, as you can see, in the driver's seat, so it's easy to get comfy if you're big or small. And if you go for an automatic model, you have a fridge instead of a gear lever, so if you want, you can keep your milk chilled. There's lots of other cubbies too, of course. This is an MPV. There's a couple up there on the dash, and the obvious big glove box. The C4 Picasso comes with an electronic parking brake as standard, which means there's room for a bag between the two front seats. However, my favourite feature is this: the panoramic windscreen. The C4 Picasso has lots of safety equipment to protect you and your family. For instance, the 6 airbags and ESP stability control, which stops you getting into a skid, comes as standard. Now, hopefully you'll never ever need it because the car has lots of grip anyway. It's also very comfortable. I mean, it's a quiet, refined cruiser on the move, and the suspension is nice and supple, although strangely, at lower speeds around town, it does kind of crash over potholes. As for the negatives, well, I'd say avoid the automatic gearbox if you can, because its changes are a little bit sloppy and laboured, while the position of the gear selector is really awkward. And really, who needs paddle shift on an MPV? And that brings us on to the handling, because being a tall vehicle, it is a bit roly-poly in the corners, which means that ultimately it's not really much fun to drive. But you might be willing to overlook these shortcomings on account of the fact that when it comes to moving your family about in style, the C4 Picasso leaves quite an impression.